The Beatles were highly productive throughout the 8 years that Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, John Lennon, and George Harrison collaborated as a band. From 1962 to 1970, they issued 12 studio albums in the UK, 6 of which were published inside their initial 3 years. The initial years were tumultuous for the Beatles, but upon ceasing their tours in 1966, they were able to dedicate more time to studio recording. In response to their rapid ascent to prominence, record label Parlophone promptly released an abundance of new tracks. Not every song composed by Paul and John was a source of pride for them. According to Paul, some of them were included as filler on albums because they were only for professional purposes. He referred to it as a failed attempt at a single that subsequently became an acceptable album filler in his descriptions. While Paul does not specifically remember the song from 1963, it is certainly not the only one. The Beatles' second album, With the Beatles, featured the poignant love ballad Little Child, akin to Hold Me Tight. Paul disclosed that Elton Hayes' Whistle My Love inspired the phrase, I'm so sad and lonely, illustrating the narrator's entreaty to an unidentified individual to dance and embrace uncertainty. Intended to fill a void in his discography, Paul later remarked that he did not consider Little Child to be his finest work. Little Child was a laborious task, he contemplated over the encounter. John shared a comparable impression. In a 1980 interview, he asserted that Little Child was another endeavor by Paul and me to compose a song for someone. Ringo was apparently the individual. The song, released in November 1963 on the With the Beatles album, was recorded at 3 distinct sessions in September and October 1963. Despite John and Paul's indifference, critics have been mostly favorable. AllMusic reviewer Richie Unterberger remarked, although it may be one of the less sophisticated and impressive tracks on the album, it remains quite good. He stated, Little Child may not be a masterpiece, but it is pure rock and roll enjoyment.